Hi, everybody. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forums, Knowledge Nexus, talks, tech that moves you, ideas that scale you. From cloud infrastructure to cybersecurity, growth strategies, and leadership, our four pillars have been empowering professionals worldwide. And today's topic that we are talking is the invisible weak link, managing third party risk before it breaks. Your go to podcast on tech, cyberspace, strategy and growth. I am your host Prem Kumar AS today, and we will explore third party risk and how we manage that. Thank you for all the participants joining today on our podcast. Here to continue growth and success. Let's welcome our speaker, Sushant, Air Force veteran, information security risk compliance, cloud security, joining us today. Let's welcome our esteemed guest to the podcast event and let's dive into the topic. Hi, Sushant. Welcome to
Ha-
our podcast.
Hello,
How are you
thank you.
today?
All doing great, Prem, and thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Sushant, a small intro about yourself to the audience, Sushant.
Sure, sure. So, as you have already introduced that I am a Air Force veteran, so I was a short service commissioned officer. I served in the Indian Air Force in the technical branch for the brief period of 10 years, and then I've predominantly worked with the IT infrastructure, radars, and technical systems over there. And then I came out of the Air Force and joined Wells Fargo in the cybersecurity, TPRM, cyber incident management domain, and currently working as a consultant, security consultant at Society General Global Solution Center. So that's a brief introduction about me.
Great, Sushant. It's nice having you, Sushant, Army veteran. That's an important point, and it gives a privilege to talk to a army veteran because you've served the country, right? So it gives a honor and a privilege to have you here today. And how do you define third party risk and why is it often overlooked in organizations, Shushan?
All right, yeah. So as I already told that I was part of the TPRM team in my previous organization. So third party risk, if you see, at its core is the potential for the financial, reputational, or the operational damage stemming from the organization relationship with the external entities, suppliers, vendors, partners, even cloud providers. They are also form part of the third party risk management team. And it's not just about the direct contact contracts, it extend to their subcontractors as well as the nth party risk also, because if you are taking service from some third party, maybe they might be extending it to someone else, and that's how the chain form, and the entire digital supply chain is formed in such a manner. So from my experience managing TPRM, working with the previous organization, which was a multinational bank, and my decade with the Indian Air Force, also as I mentioned, the risk is frequently overlooked because its complexity is underestimated. So organization often focus on the immediate operational needs and leading to inadequate due diligence, insufficient ongoing monitoring, which they do, and a poor understanding of the cascading dependencies, which I've seen. So neglecting this create a invisible weak links, and where overlooked contracts or the misunderstood integrations can become significant attack vectors, and resulting in a long-term financial liabilities, data breaches, and severe reputational damages. Because as we can see, there are multiple compliance as well as the legal regulatory things which are there all across the world. And if you don't manage your third-party risk properly, there's a hefty fine around it. So it's truly about protecting your business from the unseen threats which are emerging due to third party risks.
Now, you mentioned an important point where you said sometimes the contractors give or sublease to some other people as well. Now, looking at that point, what are the most common signs indicate third party risk is about to break? Because you mentioned a very important point where you said sometimes the contractor gives it to a subcontracting stuff because if they don't have skills and stuff like that. What is your take on that, Sushant?
Yeah. So there is always a vantage point on that, and the sign of a looming third party risk often are not a bang actually, but a series of whispers. Like you get the hold of it, you will get to know that yeah, something is about to happen, because it will not happen at one sudden day and as a surprise, but you will get some indication out of it. So the most common red flag includes the poor or deteriorating communication from the vendor. If you see they are not giving you proper feedback, particular regarding to security questions or the audit request which you are sending to them, a lack of transparency about their security posture, or consistent delay in providing the requested documentation is a huge warning. And we also look for sudden changes in their financial stability or a high turnover in their key personnel, which can impact their security capabilities. And beyond these, there are some other points also, like missed service level agreement. They are not able to meet what they have actually promised to you, unaddressed audit findings, or even subtle shift in their operational process also. So especially moving data handling are critical indicators, and proactive monitoring, leveraging real-time risk indicator. And these days, as we know, AI is a buzz, so there are a lot of AI-driven insights into their broader digital footprint. You can leverage threat intelligence, and these are the essential element. And ignoring these supple signs means that overlooking the critical vulnerabilities in your extended enterprise and making resilience impossible. So these are the main thing which I think that if you do overlook them, definitely there's going to be a problem for you.
I get that point because you were talking about third party stuff, right? We don't have a control on most of the terms because they are not inside the enterprise, but we have given some kind of an access to them to have. What are some of the unexpected consequences for poor third party risk management that business leaders should be at least aware of today? Because the risks aware of a risk is more important than being blind to it, right? So are there something that you can tell about it,
Correct.
Sushant?
So business leader actually they often focus on the direct cost because that's what is the most fascinating thing. But the unexpected consequences of poor third-party risk management are far more and insidious as well as the widespread. So beyond the obvious data breaches, the financial damage can spiral into a massive regulatory fine. Like the GDPR, HIPAA, now India has also introduced. It's yet to come into the force, so you can see the kind of penalties which are there if you don't actually abide to their rules and laws which they have set. So then there is a cost of incident response, as well as suppose you are met with an threat, there is one cyber incident, then there is going to be cost of the incident response, legal fees, mandatory credit monitoring for the affected customers. There are a lot more things which you need to do, and operationally overlooked vendor interdependencies can lead to critical service disruptions. So completely halting business process because a seemingly minor third party system fails or get compromised, this directly impacts the revenue and the customer satisfaction. So perhaps the most damaging is the reputational fallout which I can see, and as well as the vendor security incident becomes your organizational scandal, eroding customer trust, damaging the brand equity, as well as leading to a significant stock value drops. And my experience, as I've already told, I've seen that such things keep happening because I was part of the incident management team. So I've seen such a lot of, even there is a good example also which we can see. Like there was a recent incident with the Blue Yonder, which is a well-known supply chain company. They had a major incident which impacted a lot of business, and definitely after the impact, the customers will move out of you, and you lose the trust. So that's what I can see.
Now, important point because supply chain is one critical element which can delay the business delivery process entirely. So, now can you share an experience where a third party risk management failure led to a crisis and how did we handle it?
Yeah, sure. So the recent example, if I can think of, so the stark example of third-party risk failure, and an audience, those who are joining, they might be aware, which led to crisis, is a move it transfer vulnerability, which was a zero-day vulnerability in year 2023, and this was not a direct attack on my organization, but it significantly impacted the numerous industries globally, and including the financial services. I can't name any inside details, but this attack actually impacted multiple third parties. And what happened actually, the Clop ransomware group, they exploited a zero-day vulnerability in the MoveIt software, which is file transfer software used by thousands of organizations. And this exploited a lot of data. Over close to 2,700 organizations got impacted, and 93 million individuals were eventually affected through this single software provider. So you can imagine the impact of this. And the lesson what I learned from this, as it should be for all the leaders also, was the critical need for deep supply chain visibility. So we rapidly assess our exposure, identify any vendors using MoveIt, and immediately enforce the stringent patching requirement as well as the compensating control. So this crisis underscored that initial due diligence is sufficiently continued. Real-time monitoring of the nth parties dependencies in is non-negotiable to prevent such kind of widespread cascading failures. And you should always, because in the cybersecurity everything is start with the inventory. So first you should be maintaining a correct inventory of all your third parties. From there only everything will start till nth party. I'll not say that you can have till the nth party, but as much as visibility you can have with your third parties, and what kind of contractors they are using to for your product or the services for which you are directly interacting with them. That would be a real best in such kind of scenarios.
I think very valid points there. Now, when we look at gaps, right? So there would be always gaps for all the implementation, especially in cybersecurity side, because we don't know what is coming in and what is going on at times, right? So, what are the biggest gaps that exist in third-party risk management strategies across the industries today? Any thoughts around it?
Yeah, a very valid and the good question, Prem. So the biggest gaps in TPRM today, which I can see, is it's from it actually arises due to the complexity. So as I've been talking about the supply chain and a party, so you can imagine the wide complexity, and mainly for the large organization, those who are handling the managing more than 1,000 plus third parties. So you can imagine them, and then plus their another parties. So primary pitfall is incomplete risk assessment, like you are not doing proper risk assessment of these, focusing only on the initial due diligence, like once you onboard third party, that time you perform the due diligence, and then you are not doing a continuous monitoring, and missing the dynamic risk landscape. So this leads to inconsistent monitoring where vendors are onboarded but not continuously reassessed against evolving threats or changes in their own security posture. And the major challenge, what I can see, is a weak threat intelligence, which tailored to a third party ecosystem. So a generic feeds don't provide the granular context need. So this is compounded by a general lack of the continuous monitoring of the third parties. So often relying on the static questionnaire, organization struggle with the truly understanding the nth party risk. So to close these gaps, we need all the organization, they need stronger governance, proactive due diligence that extends beyond onboarding, and leveraging AI for the real-time risk scoring, as well as automation to provide the continuous and the deep visibility into the entire digital supply chain, which is emerging from these third parties.
Very valid points again there, because those gaps give us a lot of insights, right? So that how does the role of technology play in detecting, because we are talking about systems that can detect, predict, and even mitigate, right? At the current juncture, what we look at is we are trying to look at technology to enable these kind of things where you can mitigate third party. Is that possible on real time? Sushant?
Yes, yes. So a valid question. So this is actually like technology is evolving, and there are good tools which are available over there. And I'll say technology is the most powerful ally in moving third-party risk management from a periodic snapshot to real-time vigilance. So
Hmm.
AI-driven analytics platform are paramount, and they ingest vast data and the security rating. Like like I can name few like BitSight, Security Scorecard. These are the most popular tool which are being used everywhere, as well as there are dark web chatter forums, or maybe the tools which collect the data from the dark web and then give you the insights. There are various financial news portal, they keep posting such kind of information, and you can use machine learning to identify anomalies and predict emerging risks. So that's the best thing. And this transformation transform the raw data into actionable insight for the organization, which help them to reduce the vendor onboarding time by 70%. This is open source data which I just saw. So, and potentially reducing the probability of the breaches via third parties by 75% as per some industry data. And real-time monitoring system also provide a continuous visibility as well as flagging changes in the vendor's security posture or compliance status instantly to you. So while nascent blockchain also holds promise for the supply chain transparency, providing immutable record or the provenance and the compliance, but leaders must invest in these scalable tech solutions also, which I just named, which will give you a good insight on managing the third parties.
I think what you are saying is enable technology to uh, first detect, then let us know whether it is a false positive or not, and give us a analysis saying that these are critical, these are things, and some can be remediated automatically because if they are known errors and that can be filled, is what you are saying, right, Shushan?
Yes, you should be actually more of a proactive in nature rather than a
Reactive.
reactive. Yes, yeah. Rather than one incident happened, then you are firefighting, and then you are analyzing everything, and then you are fixing all the problems and issues. Rather than you should be proactive in nature, so that before any issue occurs, you are able to actually encounter them.
Now that's a very important point because uh, today's generation or today's technology is what I think is, it gives you an insight saying that these are the threats available. Now, how do you take action, auto remedial, or some kind of an action plan to be put across, and it segregates the data based on how you configure it, right, Shushan? Now, what would be that kind of a steps to build a comprehensive third party risk management framework for businesses today? Because we are talking about frameworks for everything, and we want to see how risk management also could look at as a framework. Any thoughts around it, Shushan?
Correct, correct. Right question. So everything in the organization, it start from the establishing a governance. So that is the first step. So first thing you should always establish a governance around it, third party management, right? First, secure a leadership buy-in from the senior management, from the board of directors, and define clear policies. Crucially, which foster the cross-functional collaboration between because managing third parties is not only the job of the cybersecurity, right? There are other teams involved like the legal, IT, procurement, different business units, those who will be utilizing the services of third parties. So all these things are involved, so there should be a good governance around it. And the second thing which I can think of, that is the inventory and the classification. So I have previously also said, and the technology will can actually help you in that uh, area, where you should be maintaining a good inventory of all the third parties, and this particular inventory will give you all the details, all the risks, and this will actually help you to manage those. And then you can do the risk profiling and the due diligence on that, because each and every third party you cannot focus or the give same amount of due diligence. Let's take example, by suppose you are taking services of one vendor to provide the basic maybe the housekeeping services at your premises, right? Maybe he may not pose that amount of risk than a vendor whom you are sharing some data, and they are doing some data analytics and providing you the information. So that particular vendor should be always be given more priority. So that is very important thing. And the contract. So you should be always signing a good contract, collaborate with the legal team, and embed a strong security compliance clauses in the contract, including the audit rights, because right to audit is a very important thing where you can audit them, understand what is the infrastructure they have, and the continuous monitoring is the last thing. Once you have everything, you should set up a continuous monitoring program so that you are continuously monitoring all these third parties. Any changes or anything which is happening, you can actually you can have a feedback loop which helps you actually monitor everything.
Uh, Again, very crucial points to look at how it can be monitored. Now, again, coming into, because now we are dealing with multiple vendors, right? And these vendors don't have a mindset that is required at times to be dealing with an enterprise class that we want to look at. Now, how in that scenario, how does empathy play a role in managing third party relations effectively, Sushant?
Yes, a very valid and the right question, because in managing third party risk, especially within a complex environment where you are working with a large enterprise and you have a complex inventory of the third parties, maybe more than 1,000 plus third parties if you're managing. So empathy is surprisingly crucial. So while contracts and audits are vital, but security is ultimately about people. It's not about just enforcing something to end users. So understanding your vendor, their challenges, their resource constraints, as well as what are their own threat landscape where they're operating, or even their internal complexities, which allow you to build trust rather than just imposing a demand, right? So I'm a Air Force veteran, so I learned that effective collaboration thrives on the mutual respect between both parties. When a vendor faces a security issue, so your approach is not punitive but collaborative.
Yeah.
You should be there, and also by understanding their perspective and offering what is the pragmatic solution they have. So by this, you can foster a stronger, more transparent relationship with these third parties.
Now, I think, again, a very important point, because uh, every business effectively runs on relationships, right? It's a trust that we build, and that's where we should look at what are some key questions CEO should be asking their teams regarding third party risk management. Because for CEOs or the business, they are another vendor you have to manage, right? So what could be some of those questions, Sushant?
Yeah, great. So while I have not yet had the privilege of wearing the shoes of the senior leadership, but
Okay.
what are information or the role what I have, so this actually offers the perspective of the crucial question which I can think of, which CEO should be asking based on the daily challenges. So the first
Mhm.
which I can think of, that do they have a complete continuously updated inventory of the third parties? Because as I said, that everything starts from the inventory. If you are not having a correct inventory of the third parties, including the nth party dependencies, so you should have this particular inventory. Then second question would be how actually they are truly assessing and prioritizing the risk presented by these third parties, not just their compliance. So this is very important thing. Also, what is the strategy which organization have for the continuous monitoring of the third party security posture, just beyond, not beyond just annual or maybe a periodic assessment which you are doing, because you know how the geopolitics and how the market changes day by day. So anything can change, so you should be continuously monitoring the situation. And also the contracts, they play a very crucial role. So are your contracts robust enough to enforce the security requirement as well as the liability? And the last one which I can think of, that is the how quickly we can identify and respond if a critical third party experiences a breach that impact you. So which is very important. So you should have a good incident management as well as the security response team in place, which should be able to respond in a short duration of time.
No, very, very valid pointers there, Sushant. You'll have to bring them aligned to what business is looking at and how they should be monitored. That's very important. And some of the pointers are focus on strategy oversight from the top level, right? So that is one important point, I think, from a CEO's level. Now, what are the biggest challenges you face uh, when aligning third party risk on overall business strategy? Because you'll have to align everything to business strategy, right? So your take on it, Sushant.
Correct, correct. So the biggest challenge, according to me, aligning the TPRM with overall business strategy is that and mainly at the large organization, those who have a global presence, and for them, bridging the inherent disconnect between the risk assessment and the business enablement. This is the biggest challenge which you can see. Often the security teams prioritize risk reduction while business units, they mostly prioritize the speed to market to the cost efficiency with the new vendors. That's their priority. So this actually creates a biggest challenge, and inconsistent risk prioritization. What IT sees as a critical risk might be a minor operational concern for a business unit, and this lead to a friction among them. And also a lack of a holistic view, like TPRM sometimes operates in a silo, not fully integrated into a broader enterprise risk management framework. So the initial business case for a third party engagement is very important in this scenario. And the best thing is the communication back. So communication gap which you can have, like translating technical risk into the tangible business impact for the leadership, is very important. So the solutions involve fostering cross functional governance commitments, as well as establishing a shared risk appetite with the guided vendor sections, as well as the utilizing the business centric metrics to demonstrate how robust TPRM directly contributes to strategy goals like market trust. Operational resilience is very important thing which I can think of.
Pointers again. Now, let's look at, now we spoke about strategy. Now, there is always a pointer where you have different regions coming in, different people coming in, right? Now, how do cultural differences impact third party risks management in international business relationship? Because everybody takes it in a different stand, right? So how do we look at that?
Correct, correct. So ensuring transparency in global supply chain for third-party risk is incredibly challenging because of the varying local laws. Every country has a different rules, regulation, laws, as well as there are cultural differences, and there is a diverse transparency standards across the world, because the rules which are followed here in India may be different from what is followed there in the UK, right? So from my experience so far in the industry and drawing on the discipline what I saw in the Air Force. So it require actually the multi-factored approach to actually tackle this situation. So first thing would be the standardized practices as well as the clear contracts. So contracts play a vital role here, like implement a globally consistent security policies and embed explicit contractual clauses, as well as there should be transparency over there. We should always have audit rights and do a timely incident reporting, regardless of the location of the third parties, because without the timely reporting of the incident you will not be able to take action. Then also these days you can leverage the AI driven platform that can ingest data from multiple sources worldwide, like the security rating, public records, dark web forums, to provide you the continuous as well as the unbiased insight into your third parties. Also recognize that the transparency decreases down the supply chain, as well as the focus deeper assessment on the critical and third parties as well. And the most vital point would be building trust as well as the collaboration. So you should foster a strong empathetic relationship that encourage open communication. A trusted vendor is more likely to be transparent about the challenges.
Now, with that point of transparency coming in, how can companies ensure transparency when managing third party risk, especially again on global supply chains? How is that going to happen, Sushant?
Okay, okay. So good and valid question. So transparency, actually, I already told that it comes with the collaboration and the mutual trust, right? And this is what I can think of from a communication perspective. There's one more too, is there are the technology technology solution also available. Like if I talk about the software products, right? So there are a lot of tools available which provide you like BOM, bill of material, which will give you all the parts, all things, what are the sensors, what are the things which are being used in that particular product, which gives you very good visibility. So these kind of technological solution which you will be which you should be using, as well as you should be asking from your third party provider also, so that you have a better visibility, you know that what kind of solution they are providing, and in that particular solution which all parts and which all sensors they are using, from where the data is coming. So this all is very important.
Coming to the next point, uh, what we look at is how do the role of mitigating, I'll rephrase, how do the role to do contracts play in mitigating third party risks? What should be included to safeguard a business?
Correct, and the rightly a right question, Prem. So contracts are absolutely a foundation in mitigating the third party risk, because they are the essentially your organization's first line of defense and a critical governance tool from third party perspective. So 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 the legally codify security expectations, and the accountability is very important. And to safeguard a business, a comprehensive contract must include, what I can think of is a clear security requirements, specific laws which outline the data protection standard, encryption standard, what kind of access control you want, and also adherence to the relevant frameworks like NIST CSF, ISO 27001, as well as right to audit, so that the explicit right for your organization to conduct a security assessment of your vendor, and if possible, performing the penetration test and compliance audit of the vendor. You can leverage the SOC 2, SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3 compliance reporting as well, to have a visibility, as well as the incident response and the notification clause is very important, because there is strict requirement for the timely breach notification within 24 to 72 hours, which you should
Hmm.
define, as well as the cooperation during the incident response, because it's a mutual trust between both. And also the compliance and the regulatory adherence, like vendors commitment to comply with all the relevant laws, GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS, and other laws where they're operating. And definitely the data ownership and the portability, because the clear definition of the who owns the data and how it will be returned or destroyed upon contract termination is very important thing. So these are the few top of my mind which I can think of you can include in your contract.
Now, when we come to contracts, what we see is at times we'll have to look at non-technical staff as well, right? So now, how or what is the best way you think to communicate third-party risks to a non-technical stakeholder in the company? Because a stakeholder is stakeholder, whether it's technical or non-technical. You will have to communicate that risks. How do we do that, Sushant?
Correct, correct. So communicating actually third-party risk effectively to non-technical stakeholders, particularly within a geopolitically distributed large enterprises where they have a global presence, right? It is very crucial for securing their buy-in, as well as getting the resources. So best way is to translate technical jargons into the clear, relatable business outcome and the impacts. So you must forget the CV scores, firewall locks, because definitely the business will not understand this, right? So instead of using simple language and the visual aids like heat maps, dashboards, or mapping the risk to the business goals, business objective, showing them risk register, and the frame the discussion around it. So some example, like if you want to show the financial impact to them, so you can tell them that this vendor's vulnerability could cost us the X millions in fines or the lost revenue. So it will have a good impact on them. Or maybe if you want to talk them about some reputational damage, so maybe you can tell them that a breach through this partner could endorse a customer trust, impacting the brand for years. Like these kind of jargons will help you communicate with them. And mainly a clear mission statement is a very key in this particular thing. And also the similarly demonstrate how mitigating third party risk directly enables business objective, supports strategic growth, and protect the company's bottom line. So focus on these particular things, you will be able to actually clearly communicate your technical jargons or maybe the risk to the business properly.
I think what we are talking is clearly communicate the uh, say repercussions that can bring in when you miss. Now with that point, I want to understand what are the top mistakes leaders make trying to recover from a third party risk event, because at times without knowing we get into a risk. How do we mitigate that, or how do we recover from that, is one pointer that I would like to have from you, Sushan.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, if I see, so drawing upon my best knowledge and the experience which I have, so I have observed several top mistake which people generally make while recovering from the third party risk events. First thing is that the rushing decision without full information, because you get into the panic. There are a lot of people; those are sitting on your head. So the panic often leads to hasty, ill-informed decision, like immediately terminating critical vendors contract without understanding the operational impact or the legal implications which you can have, right? There is a lack of transparency, so hiding or downplaying the event full scope, because these days you cannot hide anything. Someday or some other day it will get actually it will get visibility in the media, right? So both internally and externally it erodes the trust with the customer as well as the regulators, and even the employees also prolonging to the it prolong the crisis what you have, right? And the inadequate communication. Failing to communicate clearly, consistently, as well as empathetically with all the affected stakeholders, customers, partners, and the regulators is a very important thing. So this can turn an incident into a reputational disaster if you're not adhering to this. And then once everything is there, right, there is an incident, you are affected with the cyber security incident, right? So neglecting the root cause analysis and the lesson learned, because that is a very important exercise which is generally followed in the cyber security, right? So skipping a thorough investigation or failing to implement robust changes based on the finding means the organization remains vulnerable to similar future events as well. So these are the few things which I can think of.
Very, very valid pointers there, Sushan. Now, can can we have a competitive advantage uh, from a third party risk management?
Correct,
If yes,
definitely.
how do we look at competitive advantage?
Definitely, definitely. So absolutely effective third-party risk management can unequivocally can be a significantly competitive advantage. So in today's interconnected world, trust is a premium currency, right? And
Mm.
especially for a large enterprises. So when an organization demonstrates robust TPRM, it inherently enhances the customer trust, right? Customers are increasingly aware of the data breaches. They keep seeing that which particular company got impacted, how many millions of records got breached, and they can see supply chain vulnerabilities also, right? So a proven track record of securing their data, even through third parties, builds immense confidence and the loyalty. So this is the first thing which company can gain. Then definitely it strengthen your vendor relationship. So a clear, consistent, and fair TPRM process fosters a better, more transparent and relationship with the vendor, as well as they understand the expectations, leading to a more collaborative cybersecurity effort. Also it improves your business reputation, so being known as a secure and the reliable partner differentiate with your in the crowded market, right? It attracts higher quality vendors and client, acting as a testament to your operational excellence. and definitely enabling the innovation with the confidence. So by proactively understanding and mitigating the risk, the business can adopt to new technologies and partner with innovative vendors more quickly and securely, seizing market opportunities. Because if you get into if you're not managing third party risk properly, you are being fined, you are spending money over there doing the incident response. Definitely you will focus your strategy towards something else rather than focusing on your business.
Okay, and now again, one more point that I want to look at is from a customer experience point. How does third party risk management affect customer experiences, and why leaders should pay attention to this kind of an impact?
Correct, correct. So third party actually risk directly and profoundly impacts the customer experience, which is actually I have also seen in the past. So making it a critical concern for the leader. So you let me take a very simple example. Suppose in India we know popular banks like SBI, ICICI, HDFC, right? Today, me as a customer, if I see that so many millions of record of this particular bank got breached, definitely I will not like it, right? Because I have my account, so I'll get panicked that is my data also was there as part of this particular breach. So from my perspective, any vulnerability in extended ecosystem can quickly translate into customer facing issues. So the most direct impact is through security breaches. So if a third party vendor's handling customer data is compromised, and it leads to a data exposure and identify theft concern as well as a massive erosion of the trust. And customers feel their personal information is not safe, leading to a churn and the reputational damage which organization may have. Also, the beyond breaches, third-party failure can cause service disruption and the delays, right? So recent failure like CrowdStrike, right, where a small patch update actually cost actually resulted into an outage worldwide, right, which
Yeah.
impacted globally, including airport, critical infrastructure. So a lot of things were down, right? So this frustration directly degrades the customer experience and can lead to immediate financial or the operational inconvenience for all the customers. Also, what I can see that leaders must pay attention because customer experience is a key differentiator and revenue driver in today's era, and integrating robust TPRM into the overall customer experience strategy ensures that the vendor uphold the same security and the services standard which we promise, which is vital in maintaining the trust and the loyalty.
So coming to one important point, businesses always looks at measuring something, right? And they want to measure what does a successful third party risk management team look like. Is there that we quantify somewhere, Sushant?
Yes, yes, you can definitely quantify. As per me, like a truly successful third-party risk management team is firstly and the foremost a cross-functional and highly collaborative team. Because I already told you that that third party is not just like work with the cybersecurity. There are multiple teams involved. The legal team is involved. Contract team is involved, and there is a business who is taking services from those third parties. They are also involved. So it's not just a cybersecurity function, it's a strategic alliance between all the business and all the different teams. So ideal teams, what they should include, that a dedicated risk analyst with a deep understanding of the cybersecurity operational risk and the ability to interpret the security rating and the audit report. So this particular person, from cybersecurity perspective, he can provide the guidance and the consultancy, right? And they should be a legal experts also, which who can draft the robust contracts, ensure the compliance with evolving regulations, and manage liabilities. And uh, and there is a procurement team also involved. Those who are doing the payment, understand the vendor relationship, contractual nuances, integrating the security consideration from the very start of the vendor life cycle. Because as we say that the The more you start in the beginning of the you introduce security the beginning, you have a less actually damage. Same thing is followed in the SDLC also, right? And then you should have a business representative also to provide a critical context on the vendor criticality and the potential operational impact. So my experience so far, so collaboration is non-negotiable, and TPRM team should communicate seamlessly, shares intelligence, and jointly owns the vendor risk posture. They must leverage the technology for automation, continuous monitoring, as well as critically, team should possess the soft skill, negotiation, diplomacy to foster trust and ensure the vendors become security partner, not just service provider.
Shant, now coming to the success, we spoke about success, but what are some strategies to balance flexibility with necessity of control when managing third party risk? Because one way of measuring success also is linked to managing it, right? So your take on it, Sushant.
Yes. So balancing flexibility with control in the TPRM is actually a critical challenge, and especially currently in the fast-paced global market. So it's akin to maintaining agility in the military operations while adhering to strict protocols. What you do there in the military operation. First thing is the risk-based steering, which is very important. Don't apply a one-size-fits-all approach. So high risk vendor, like you should be actually bifurcating all the vendors in the critical vendors, high rated vendors, then low moderate rated vendors accordingly, right? This requires stringent controls and the continuous monitoring, while lower risk vendors can have the lighter automated assessments. So this enables the flexibility where appropriate, without compromising the safety of the vendors. Then implement a security measures that can flex with the challenging business need. Instead of rigid policies, focus on principles that allow for the various technical solutions, providing the business unit options as long as core security objectives are met. Also, you can shift from purely prescriptive control to outcome based security clauses, where the vendor commits to security performance metrics, giving them the flexibility in how they achieve it, like include the SLA around securities, so that they adhere to those particular things. Also, you should leverage the automated continuous monitoring tool, leveraging the AI and automation also provide the real time visibility without the manual overhead, as well as ensuring the control is maintained even with the rapid vendor onboarding or the challenges. And the last and the most important point is the clearly communicating the why behind control to business stakeholders, fostering understanding and collaboration instead of the resistance.
Lot of pointers.
Yes.
So a huge pointer list that is going there to look at managing it, because that gives a decision making and adaptive controls to be listed out there. So I think that is very important. Now coming to the last question that I have, or the pointer that I want to understand from you, is what advice would you give to emerging leaders or people who are going to get into the area of third party risk management? Any suggestions there before I summarize, Sushant?
Yeah, sure. So for the emerging leaders in the TPRM area, so my advice would be actually coming from the both my corporate experience and my military experience also.
Hmm.
So first thing, be a perpetual learner, right? So the threat landscape, technologies, and regulations are constantly evolving day by day. So stay relentlessly curious, deep dive into the emerging areas like AI, how it will impact the supply chains, what are the global privacy laws which are coming, as well as what are the new contractual models which are being followed. And also you should also adopt to the continuous learning. There are various certifications which are available which you can resort to. You can do those certification to gain more knowledge in that particular area. And you should master the art of translation and the collaboration, because this is the key area in the third party risk management. So your success hinges on the translating complex technical risk into the clear business language. So build a strong relationship across departments like legal, procurement, business units, understand what are their priorities, also show them that how robust TPRM enables, not hinders their goals. And definitely the you can embrace the technology and the automation. So leverage tools for the continuous monitoring, AI for the intelligent threat correlations, and platform for the effective vendor assessment. Automation will also be your force multiplier, freeing you to focus on the strategic insight rather than doing the day-to-day job and the follow-up. And the last one is the seek mentorship and the network widely, which is the most important thing here. Like, learn from seasoned professionals, share experience with the peers, build a strong professional network. And the TPRM community is rich with the knowledge, and the collaboration is the key. You can attend various forums, conferences, which will give you more insight what is actually happening in the world and in the other organization, what kind of tools and technologies they are following.
Thank you for that. With that, we have come to the closure of our podcast. Before that, I would like to summarize what we spoke over the last 50 minutes that we discussed so far. We started with what does the third party look like, and how organizations oftenly are overlooking them. So that's the first pointer that we spoke about. Then we spoke about some of the common signs that indicate third party risk is about to break, because there they will see some red flags, some ignored pointers, not indicative third party, they are not giving you the right information. And that's the second point that we spoke about. And the third point that we spoke about was more about specific impact on how third party risk can damage, focus on financial aspects, operational and reputational damages is what we spoke about. Then on next we spoke about what are the lessons that we've learned when we are looking at third party risk, real time pointers that were there, crisis, near crisis situation. So that is what we spoke on next. And then we spoke about what are the gaps that can be looked at, are we missing anything, are critical gaps, what do we learn from them, and what are the important points that should be looked before we take a conclusion in terms of what has to be implemented. Then we spoke about role of detecting third party risks in real time. That's where we are talking about from what to say is that not a reactive approach, being a proactive approach is what we wanted to look at. Tech is like
Correct.
tech is your ally in managing third party risks, and how tools like AI, blockchain can make a real time difference is what we spoke about. Then we went into the next phase of talking about building a comprehensive risk management framework, third party risk frame, whereas you see lot of other frameworks are available. So is there a pointer that we spoke about? Start with the framework, build business third party risk strategy with critical steps is what we spoke about. Then we went into empathy part, where employees just are vital for vendors too, right? They are not on, they are also one part of an employee list for us. Now coming to the next pointer that we spoke about, what are the common questions CEOs could ask? Five questions, like what could be them, what could be the pointers, like what could the business look at, where do we vision, what could be our vision and stuff like that. Then we spoke about the biggest challenges in trying to align with third party with overall business strategy, because we need to look at any risks that are to be aligned to the business goals. That's what we spoke about. Then we spoke about transparency. Then we spoke about contracts and first line defense pointers, promote protect business is what we spoke about. Then going back to cultural differences is one thing that we spoke about. And we spoke about bridging the gap between tech and business leaders, because anybody is a stakeholder in the organization, and that can impact a stakeholder not informed can impact third party risk for us, right? So then we spoke about critical third party risk management, can it be a competitive advantage for us? We spoke about third party risk management protecting, but key difference is managing the brand and stuff is what we spoke about. Then the other pointer that we spoke about, operations that get affected by customers, which is customer experiences, because if there is a service disruption into third party management, the customer experience also gets affected. And the last, we spoke about what are the new generation leaders here. Valuable advice for mastering third party risk is to collaborate, discuss, join into firms, networking, encourage mentorship is what Sushant told about. So this is what is the pointer that we discussed overall last 50 minutes. And with this, we would like to thank Sushant for being here. And we have wanted to tell the audience that this podcast is streamed to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Hope you found this discussion valuable, and thank you for joining us today on LinkedIn Live. Sushant, any last minute words that you want to drop in before we move on in closing the session?
So thank you so much, Prem, for inviting me over here over the podcast, and a very apt selection of the topic. Also, it's a very important and emerging topic these days, managing third-party risk, supply chains. So it was really a pleasure interacting with you and talking to you. So I'm glad and looking forward to connecting with you for the future events as well.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Sushant.
much.
With this, we our next podcast is scheduled for tomorrow, which is going to be our 267th episode, which is going to be on a Regenesis talk. We are going to start at 6:30 p.m. IST. Looking forward to see you again. Good day and bye for now, Sushant. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Prem, and thank you everyone for joining here.